Hi, welcome back. So before we start the actual data preparation to prepare the total score of optimism as our first scale or dichotomy in the research, I'm going to share with you a very important technical piece of information. We have come to understand that according to the research, 6 statements were defined to quantify the level of optimism on range from 6 all the way to 30, because each statement were on a scale from 1 to 5. On Likert scale. So the basic idea was to ask the total number of subjects we have in this data set of 60 subjects to score their opinion on each statement. As the codebook has shown us that the second statements, the fourth statements, and the sixth statement need to be reversed. After we reverse, actually, then we sum up the total scored value for opt1 and the transformed 3, of course, 4 transformed 5, 6, and you've got the total score of optimism. This is the mechanic that we're going to work on it in a while. But more important, I just wanted to share with you what does actually reverse mean. Now, if I come back to the original survey, these are the 6 statements to quantify optimism. And if you read the first sentence, say, in uncertain times, I usually expect the best. Now, if somebody would to strongly agree, it means this guy tend to be quite a bit in the optimistic side. The second sentence say, if something can go wrong for me, it will. Now, you expect somebody not to strongly agree if he is optimistic or she is optimistic, but strongly disagree. Whatever the answer was in the previous question, you expect the answer in the second question to be completely reversed. That's why this trick is measuring the kind of consistency about the answering of the subject or the participant. That's why when we spoke about reliability and validity, reliability indicated the consistency within the answers by each subject on the questions at hand. Now, once it is done and the answers by the 60 subjects are in there, we may have to do something before we rely actually on this total score, because this total score will be ready then for the second pillar of analysis, and that is to extract descriptive model. But I think before we even think of that, we need to make a small test on these 6 sentences and their reliability in terms of the answer by each subject, whether the consistency, internal consistency level were met or not. And that's actually by understanding the correlation between the answers. And one of the available tools, we use a test called Cronbach alpha test. Cronbach alpha test might be not the best thing always people have to recommend in order to test the consistency within a scale like measuring the optimism, unless you really understand the mathematics behind it. Basically, it relies on computation of the correlation between the number of statements that were defined in order to capture the total score of the scale. So in our case, we are relying on completely independent 6 number of statements just only for optimism. That's why we may feel quite a bit comfortable to use the Cronbach alpha. But if it happens those 6 statements are mixed with other score, for example, let's say I am measuring the self-confidence, and I decided to use also this statements number 4 and this statement number 6 from another scale to be actually again used for the self-confidence. In this case, perhaps the calculation for Cronbach alpha can be inaccurate. Now, this is the original data set, right? And we have seen that statements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are our target. Now, according to the code book, we are required to reverse the second statement, the fourth, and the sixth statement. And in order to do that, the statistical softwares can be quite a bit easier. But using a spreadsheet like the one I'm using in here, just alternative options that you might want to do as well before you even move all the data set for analysis. So basically, the idea is to reverse the second score score is quite a bit straightforward. So by following the standard operation of Excel, by making a condition that if the cell happens to be 5, then I need the score to be 1. Otherwise, if it is 4, be 2. If it is 2, be 4. If it is 1, be 5. Otherwise, be 3, because 3 doesn't change in either way. So you could see that I have just reversed here. 2 become 4, 3 as sustained stays, 1 become 5, and so on. I've done the same thing for the 4th and the 6th statements. After I'm done, I can just calculate the total score of optimism for the first statement, the second as it's reversed, 3, 4 reversed, 5, and 6 reversed. And you could see this is the total score out of 30. The first subject, 22 out of 30, 19 out of 30, etc. Now, before I rely on this total score of the subject, I'm going to actually try to utilize the Cronbach's alpha to calculate the consistency or internal consistency for these statements. As you can see, this is my target. Now, to do that, we're going to rely on this formula. The formula is straightforward. K represents the total number of statements. In our case, we've got 6 statements. So it would be a 6 statement divided by 6 minus 1. But what does this variance or total variance for all the subjects mean? For example, take this subject number 60. This participant give a score for the first statements as 5. The second statements, of course, after reversing as 5 again, because the original was 1. 3 as 5. 4 is reversed again 5. 1 seems it's a perfect kind of answer. And the fifth one again 5. 6 reversed as again 5 from 1. Now we want to compute the variance for these 6 statements has been answered by the subject. After this, you will get a value. We call it the variance for the subject. Same thing you get for the other 59 subjects. And after you are done, you sum up this total variance for all of them, you will get this number. We're going to do it in a while. It will be much more clear. Now, the second variance is concerning the statements wise, meaning to say column itself for the entire statement. So we got statement 1 here, as you can see. I would calculate variance, and the variance belong to the second statements, and etc. And after you've done, you get the sum of all these variance. After this, you of course subtract the total variance, all the subjects minus the variance by each statement, divided again by variance by all the subjects, and then multiply first term with the second, and you will get a value more likely between 0 and 1. Now, how to interpret the value? You've got the table from Cronbach's alpha where the internal consistency is replicable. So if this alpha value happens to be larger or equal to 0.9, it means almost 90%. That means you got an excellent consistency. It means the scale was perfectly capturing the level of optimism and the answer were also consistent. Between 09 and 08 is good. 08 and 07 is acceptable. 07 and 06 is questionable and very poor when you look below that. I wouldn't actually I would recommend if you get a score below 70, then you might want really to go and revisit again, check your statements, whether there's a problem with your instrument, or check the answers by the subjects if their answers were inconsistent. So let's go ahead and do the calculation as step by step as I have mentioned earlier. So the first thing I have done, I relied on the internal function by Excel by calculating the variance. And the variance, of course, I took the first score 1 and 2 as it's reversed, 3, 4 reversed, 5 and 6 reversed, and then you get the variance of 0.2 for the first subject answer. And then just to drag this all the way down to the last subject is number 60. And as you are done, you're going to sum up all these scores together onto 1. So this is the total score of variance for all the subjects according to their answers. Now, the next thing you want to do to calculate the variance for each statement. So this is the variance for the first statement, the second statement, which is reverse one, the third and the fourth reverse one, the fifth and the sixth reverse one, and you get the sum out of that. Now, following our standard equation here, we've got 6 statements just divided by 6 minus 1 multiplied by this term, which is 51.23 minus 10.24 divided by 51.23 again, which is the same term here. And the total will be this value, which is 0.95. 0.95, we are on the excellent internal consistency. What does it indicate? That indicate our scale of capturing optimism. It was quite a bit highly consistent, and you can really rely on this scores. Same thing you're going to do for each individual score. So that was a quick review on a practical implementation for data preparation as the first pillar of analysis. So we are now ready to start with the third chapter, and that is descriptive analysis. I will see you then.